इन भात श्री देवचंद्र जी आए पहुँचे कच्छ में, गए लोक अपने ठोर आप लगे खोज में, गए लोक अपने ठोर आप लगे खोज में। इन भात श्री देवचंद्र जी बोले श्री धाम के धनी की जय। On yesterday's discourse, we talked about one of the most pressing questions that not many people convincingly answer. Does God really answer our prayers? What does God have to say about suffering? This is one of the most asked questions, especially when the world witnesses a level of suffering that happens only very few times. Such is the case right now as COVID pandemic. COVID-19 is ravaging the lives of many around the world. Millions of people have been dead. Millions of kids have lost their parents. And the economy of many countries have shattered. So during such times, we ask questions, looking up, folding our hands. Where is God? Are you even listening? Why is this happening to the people around me, to the people that are dear to me? We try to get into that question, and we told you that the Lord Supreme Sri Raji is always merciful, always kind, and always caring for his souls. Jita mehera tita hota hai. Where Lord showers his grace, tita aur kaha chahiyata. Those souls do not wish for anything else. So God is merciful. It is just that we turn our backs. It is just that we close the lid of our heart to receive the blessings, to receive the grace of Sri Raji Maharaj, that many times we do not realize his grace. However, we said, Tu saji kara ek bera, to me jiji karu das bera. Call me once, and I will respond to you 10 times, says Raji Maharaj. So it is not that God does not answer our prayers. I also told you, it is not that God answers all our prayers. It is only those prayers that are made with our pure heart. Only those that are sincere. Only those that get us closer to realize higher level of consciousness, higher level of bliss. It is only those. We compare the grace of Sri Raji Maharaj with the grace of our parents, with their love. Because just like our parents, who are always there when in need, but cannot always be with us, guiding us, controlling every move that we make, because that would not serve the whole purpose of creation and of free will. God is always there when we need it. And we'll get into the depth of this concept. And we would eventually say that there is no suffering at all. Vastu gati dukkha nahi, says Mahamati. There is no suffering in this world. How do we understand that? That would be the topic that we would cover along the way. But when we are awakened, when we know that we are currently in the lotus feet of Sri Raji Maharaj, Sarantali of Sri Raji Maharaj, when we know that we are watching this Leela of the world, this suffering of this world, this illusion of this world from Paramdham itself, when we know that we are sleeping on our bed and there are no issues in our body and mind, And when we find ourselves in a dream, knowing that we're actually sleeping on our bed, there is nothing to worry about the suffering of dreams, suffering of our dream, because we know that it is not real. Similarly, the day we are awakened and we know the realities of Paramdham, when we know ourselves, when we know the true identity of ourselves, then, Sundar Sadhji, there is no suffering, there is no fear, there is only love, there is only the grace of Sri Raji Maharaj, there is only his eternal presence, there is only the happiness of Paramdham. So, the pursuit of such understanding is what is leading Satguru Maharaj moving forward, Devchandraji Maharaj. So at the age of 17, he had the first glimpse of God in disguise, Raji Maharaj in disguise for that matter, we can say that now. And the feelings that he had, the aftermath of such meeting, Devchandraji was both confident and regretful. He was confident that God was around him. He will one day find him, because the God that he was looking for is always there for him. Because when he needed him the most, he was there for him, only in disguise. So he knows that Raji Maharaj, or the Lord Supreme that he's been looking for, is not that distant. And also he regrets that when he was there, he could not recognize him, that he was the God in disguise. Dear Sundar Sadhji, when we have something, when we have our friends and families, we normally take it for granted, and when they are gone, we regret not having them in our lives. The teachings of this incident is that we should always value what we have, what we have with us, our parents, our friends. So spend time with them, be friendly with everyone, be nice to them, because you never know whether you're going to meet them again in your lives. So treasure what you have. Devchandraji Maharaj gets to Kutch, the city that he wanted to for a long time, because he had been there once at the age of 11, 6 years ago, because he has seen more temples, more religious saints and sages, more religious scholars, and many more religious establishments than what he had at his disposal in Umarkot. So when he gets to Kutch, he becomes really happy. So as soon as he gets to Kutch, he starts looking for the answers to his questions. There are many religious establishments in Kutch, different sects, the sages of different religious traditions. There are some followers of Kabir. There are some followers of different Vaishnava traditions. There are some followers of different Sakta traditions, the traditions that worship goddesses. There are all different types of traditions. This sect, Samyak Pradiyate iti Sampradaya. This sect, what sect meant is that the religious tradition that shows the right path to the souls. There are different sects, different religious traditions. The leaders, the saints, Devchandraji reaches out to them in his pursuit to find answers to the questions that he had. And it seems like the essence of spirituality is missing in them. Devchandraji goes and asks these simple questions. But they are pretenders. They are not truly spiritual, they pretend. Their religious practices do not sync well with what they say. What they say and what they do is completely different. Religions teach humility. Religions teach kindness. Religions teach the dangers of ego. However, these leaders of different religious traditions are fighting among themselves to prove which religious tradition is better, which religious tradition is superior to the other. Devchandraji reaches out to all these people, all these religious scholars, yet he does not yet find the convincing answers. He asks, where is Lord? Some people say that Lord resides in these idols. Here is the Krishna idol, here is the idol of Lord Vishnu, here is the idol of Lord Shiva. This is where resides. Devchandraji promptly asks the questions. Although it sounds fine when you believe that God is omnipresent, that God can be there in idol. However, Devchandraji asked the question. But if you look at the scriptures, Guruji, the scriptures say differently about idol worship. Uttama manashi puja grantha puja cha madhyama adama kalpita puja payyakitva dhama dhama. The best kind of worship is the worship that comes out of your heart, with the knowledge of what you are doing, the true prayer that goes inward, finding God in your inside. The secondary one, the less but more effective of the prayers, is the prayers of scripture, Grantha Puja. And the idol worship is the least effective one. Although God can be called upon, God does not reside in idols. Devchandraji knows that because it is said in Bhagavad Gita that Lord resides in the hearts of every living beings. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridarsya arjuna tishtati Amayan sarva bhutanam yantra rudani maya, says Sri Krishna to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, that I reside in the heart of all living beings. But we do not see the God residing in our hearts, but we see them in the idols made out of clay, made out of woods. If we could see God in every living beings, we would definitely be more kind. We would be more merciful to the creatures of the world. Our food habits, our thoughts, and everything would change. We would be humble because we would see God in the other living being in front of us. Devchandraji does not find those answers satisfactory. He goes around looking for answers. One day, while looking for his answers, he meets a sannyasi, a renunciate, a religious leader who had given every material interest, have given his family, given up everything to be the one, to be one with the Lord Supreme, to be one with God. He has many followers, and due to which he is a pretender. Devchandraji goes to him looking for answers. He says, be my disciple. Without being my disciple, I cannot give you the transcendent understanding about God. Devchandraji thought, if I'm getting answers to my questions, I'm fine being a disciple. He must know something, that is why he is claiming that be my disciple and I'll tell you the answers. The sannyasi gives him a mantra for Devchandraji to recite every day. Deve nama sumirana nihiche karagrahutum, says the sannyasi. I'll give you this mantra. Recite it with full faith. Devchandraji says, Devchandraji basically agrees. Sure, Guruji, I will do that. He stays with that sannyasi for a few months, anticipating the answers that he was looking for. Yet, the day never comes. Devchandraji's patience wears out. He feels that this is not the right place to waste my time. This is the waste of my time. I don't want to be here anymore, because it seems to him that the sannyasi does not have answers to his questions. He goes to other religious leaders of other sects. He goes to the yogis. He goes to the Vairagi Kapadi, those religious saints who are naked, who practice austerities to the extreme. He goes to them. Same result. He looks for answers to his questions. He does not find one. He goes to mosque one day. Inabhata masjid mein mulla ki kari sohbat. He finds the imam in the mosque. He asks the same questions. Have you seen God? Why did God create this universe? How do we find the God Supreme? Yet, he does not find answers to his questions either. The Imam says, we'll get to heaven, we'll get to know him only when he becomes graceful to us. But how actually do we do that? How actually do we make Allah happy? We can try our best, follow the teachings of Quran, but he cannot give definitive answers to why Allah created the world in the first place. And where Allah resides, where's that actual location where Allah resides? Devchandraji continues to pursue. He continues to ask questions. He continues to meditate. He continues to go through the pages of religious scriptures and teachings and biographies of these religious leaders. He tries to emulate their practices, the practices of these religious scholars. Yet, his heart is not illuminated by this understanding. He is frustrated in a way, yet relentless in his pursuits. He continues looking around, continues reaching out to all the religious scholars of different sects, different denominations, different religious traditions, because to him, that is one goal. That is the goal of his life. He pursues for 4 years in Kutcha. He left his home at the age of 17. He is 21 now. It's been 4 years looking for answers to his questions. He stays in sannyasi's place for a few months. He goes to the mosque looking for answers. He goes to the religious leaders of different religious traditions, staying there for a few months here and there. At the age of 21, he reaches Bhujnagar, the capital city of Kutch. फिरते भुजनगर आए तिन शहर में तहाँ हरिदास जी रहे वही सोहबत तिन से. At the age of 21, Devchandraji finally gets to the place of Haridasji, Guruji Haridasji. He is none other than the Guruji that he met at the age of 11. He is the religious teacher. He is the religious master of his father, his parents. So as soon as he finds Haridasi, Haridasi asks question to Devchandraji, as if he did not know anything. He says, how long have you left your home? Why are you here in Bhusnagar? Because his parents, Devchandraji's parents, Mattu Mehta and Kumar Bhai, had constantly written the letters to Haridasi asking if they had ever come across Devchandra. It's been 4 years. Devchandraji's father, Mattu Mehta, lies to his wife, saying that Devchandraji is with Guruji, Haridasi. He's been learning the basics of religions. He's learning spirituality, spiritual practices there. Because she knows, Kumarbai knows, that Devchandraji was always involved, engaged in religious activities and religious pursuits. The lie saved her life because she could not live without Devchandra, only son that they had. So Haridasi promptly writes a letter addressing Mattu Mehta and Kumarbai, saying that your son is with me. You are getting older. And I know that he left your home. He sneaked out of your home without ever letting you know, because you would not let that happen. So why don't you sell everything that you have in Umarkot and come to Bhusnagar to be with your son? Because in Vedic darshan, in Vedic teachings, a son needs to be there. A son needs to take care of his older parents. So if you want your son to be around, if you want your son to be around when you die, then you have to be here in Bhusnagar. Devchandraji's father was a big, huge businessman, a successful businessman that dealt with the king of Umarkot. But he sold everything, his house, his properties and everything, and leaves for Bhusnagar. He starts crying because he lied to his wife, saying that his son was with Guruji, not actually where he was, whether he was even alive, because he had not heard for these 4 years from Devchandraji. He didn't care much about his family because he was in his pursuit to find God. It is true, Sundar Saji, that we have responsibilities to our parents, to our country, to the entities that we hold dear. But Devchandraji here is on a bigger mission here. He seems to be negligent of his parents, but the truth is, his parents would never agree to what he truly wants. He wants to realize God. He wants to illuminate his heart and soul. And for that, for a bigger goal, sometimes smaller happiness have to be sacrificed. To achieve something, to become truly successful, you have to sacrifice the comfort of extra sleep. To become a medical professional, for example, you may have to spend few nights in the library. You may have to endure some sleepless nights. You may have to sacrifice the fresh home-cooked food and eat whatever you can find, because greater things are not accomplished without some sacrifices. And Devchandraji has sacrificed his family, the comfort of his family, the love of his family, the care of his family in pursuit of the greater good, the greater goal. Siddhartha Gautama had to leave the comfort of the palace to become Gautam Buddha. Mirabai had to leave the comfort of the palace to become one with Lord Sri Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Paramahamsa Ramakrishna, there are hundreds of thousands of the saints and saints who had given up their comforts, because no greater accomplishments can be achieved within our comfort zones. We cannot sleep 10 hours a day, relax all day, not doing anything, and expect to be successful in what we do. We have to make sacrifices. That is what Devchandraji has been doing here. He's in a pursuit of a greater goal, and for that, he is sacrificing the comfort of the care of his parents. As soon as they receive the letter, they sell everything and get to Bhusnagar. And they buy a small house in Bhusnagar, and they become together with Devchandraji. Guruji Haridasi is a follower of Radha Vallavi sect, one of the Vaishnava tradition where the follower worships Sri Krishna and Radharani. Haridasi is so pure in his heart, in his prayers. He's so devoted that he worships Sri Krishna as his consort, Sakhi Bhav, the way the consorts of Lord Supreme serve in Param Dham. Just the way the Sundar Sas, the follower of Sri Krishna Pranami faith, worship Aksharatit Sri Krishna, the Lord Supreme. He is so true, so devoted, so sincere, so humble. Devchandraji finds that Haridasi would be the best person. He had never met someone like him before. All of the religious saints and sages he had met before, they were in a way hypocrites. They would say one thing and do the other. They would ask their devotees to be humble, but they were the representative of ego, actually. They would always boast the number of disciples they had. They would always boast what they knew. Devchandraji, as soon as he meets Haridasi and finds how devoted he was to Bal Mukundaji, the child form of Sri Krishna that he worshipped along with Radharani, Devchandraji thought, "Inki mein seva karu, vastu prahu inase." It would be my honor to serve Guruji Haridasi and receive whatever understanding he has, because he had never met someone like him. Guruji Haridasi would offer his service to Banke Bihari and Bal Mukundaji, the youth form of Sri Krishna and the child form of Sri Krishna both. He was in true service to the Lord. Devchandraji felt that this is the right place. So what Haridasi does receives the attention of Sri Devchandraji Maharaj. During the months of winter, Haridasi offers some warm clothes, warm food, warm water, and he serves him in a different way. During the months of summer, he turns the fan on. He makes it possible for God to enjoy the coolness inside the temple. Devchandraji is truly happy to have met Haridasi. And Devchandraji's parents, Matumeta and Kumarbai, are there in Bhujnagar as well. As soon as they get there, Devchandraji is about 21, 22 years of age. It was 400 years ago. Time is running out for Devchandraji's wedding. They want Devchandraji to get married so that his wife would make him do things that he had not done before. That she would make him be serious in his life, take life seriously, engage in some activities that would generate some wealth and income so that he could live happily. श्री देवचंद्र माया की क्यों ये नजीक न जाए, इनको वह गमे नहीं, बड़ो दुख पहुंचाए. But Devchandraji is not interested in worldly affairs, worldly course. He doesn't want to engage in those petty activities. He wants to find God, only God. He doesn't need any material comforts. He doesn't need any worldly belongings. All he wants is to be one with the Lord Supreme, find answers to his questions. That relentless pursuit, Sundar Satsi, the beloveds of Lord Supreme, that goal, that relentless pursuit, giving up everything, that single-mindedness is what's needed when you want to succeed in your life. Single-mindedness. All the deviations would hinder your speed. They would make it harder for you to reach your goal. Devchandraji is laser focused, single-minded in attaining God, realizing God. So despite all these deviations, criticisms and all that, he continues to pursue. He rarely spends any time with his parents. He rarely does. And his parents are not happy. His parents are not happy about it. They try to convince him in any way possible, in any shape or form. Sometimes they criticize him. Sometimes they try to convince him softly and gently. My dear son, I know what you are doing. It is important to you. We understand it. But this is not how life is lived. You gotta have someone in your life. When you turn old, when you become old, you won't have anybody if you do not get married and have kids. Devchandraji, inako waha game nahi, he does not understand the logic behind all of this. Because he has seen it all. Those getting married, those having kids, those making a lot of money, those who are successful, they are not truly happy. Devchandraji has seen it. Because they haven't found the true happiness. As it is stated, that true happiness belongs only to those who are engaged in spiritual pursuits. He's not happy with how his parents are trying to convince him to discontinue his pursuits. इनको वह गमे नहीं, बड़ो दुख पहुंचाए, says Lal Das. He does not understand it. And he's not happy with the constant criticisms he receives from his parents. Because for that, he has already left his home. Because they were not assisting in his pursuits. Their arguments were not conducive to his pursuits. He had left his home, but eventually they came back to him, his parents. Devchandraji was not happy with those criticisms, constant criticisms. He was in true deep service of Haridasi, Guruji Haridasi. He prepares the food for Guruji, he cleans his house, he does everything for him, washes his clothes. In Gurukul, traditional Guru-Shishya relationships, and traditional spiritual teacher and disciple relationships, the disciples, to receive the grace and understanding of the scriptures, would help Guruji in their homes, cleaning their house and all kinds of services. Devchandraji was doing the same, but he was doing it wholeheartedly. Sincerity. So Haridasi had never found a disciple like Devchandraji before. So he was happy to have him as his disciple. Someone who would truly take care of his needs, truly help him in his household chores. Haridasi would not have to worry about anything that was going on in his house. Due to that devotional service of Devchandraji, Guruji Haridasi thinks that one day, he thinks that I should be giving him the mantra of the Lord. I should be giving him the mantra. And one day, he asked Devchandraji, have you ever received a mantra from someone else before? Because I want to give you this divine mantra of the Lord Supreme, of Lord Sri Krishna. Have you ever received any other mantra? Devchandraji, for that question, says, yes, Guruji, I have received a mantra from one sannyasi before, thinking that that mantra would lead me to eternal happiness. So Guruji Haridasi says, if you already have received a mantra, I cannot give you a mantra until you return that mantra. So why don't you write that mantra on a piece of paper, stick it to the bread, and give it back to him. And once you do that, that mantra would be returned, and I can give you another mantra that would give you the blessings of the Lord. Devchandraji thought for a moment. The mantra that I have been reciting, Guruji, has been all around my body. It has pervaded my body. So merely writing that mantra down and giving it back would not remove the mantra from me. So I don't think that is the right thing to do. Forgive me for questioning your judgment here, but I don't think that is the right thing to do. If the mantra that you give me is more powerful, more enlightening, then it would automatically go away. The mantra that I received earlier from the sannyasi would automatically go away. Jo tumhara naam joravar, wo aap hi hobe tu. If the mantra that you are giving me is more powerful, then I don't have to worry about what mantras I did in the past. Because this mantra that you are giving me, I'll recite it wholeheartedly, all the time. Haridasi was truly happy with his response. He said, oh, Devchandraji, you are so wise. I'm really proud of your wisdom. I never thought of it that way, because we are told that when we have received a mantra from somebody, we cannot receive another mantra without returning the previous one. But you made me realize that that is not the right thing to do. Haridasi was truly happy with the response of Devchandraji. Dear Shandarsaji, Devchandraji is none other than the consort of Sri Raji, Sundarbai Sakhi, who had the jewel of Syamaji Maharani, the bliss part of Aksharatit Sri Krishna in him. He had not realized it, but he was among the wisest in the world. Because through him, the transcendent knowledge of Tartam is to be given to the world. The understanding that was missing in the world. With the knowledge of Tartam, he was going to reveal the sports of Aksharatit, the abode of Aksharatit, the name and the form of the Lord Supreme. Devchandraji was given this mantra of Bhaki Bihari, Bhajamana Sri Vrindavan Kunja Bihari Nitya Vilas. Devchandraji started chanting, reciting this mantra. As he recites this mantra, he feels the sense of inner peace, because it is the mantra of Lord Sri Krishna. Haridasi asked Devchandraji to recite this mantra with full belief, full faith, because the fruit of something cannot be attained until we have full faith in it. If we think that the medicine that we are taking is not effective, then it may not fully work against the ailment that we have. Devchandraji starts chanting the name of God and reciting this mantra. While Devchandraji received this mantra, prior to receiving the mantra, Haridasi told Devchandraji to shave his head and clothe appropriately in the loin cloth and some kurta, in white loin clothes. On the other side, Devchandraji's parents are arranging a wedding for Devchandraji. Because back then, 400 years ago, it were the parents who would decide the wife for their sons. It was arranged. It was unlike today where a girl finds a guy finds a girl to be with for the rest of their lives, if that is the case. Lilbai was the name of the woman. She was a pious lady. The wedding was arranged. The same day Devchandraji is to receive the mantra, the wedding day was set. He was unaware of that. So when he receives the mantra that day from Haridasi and returns home, his parents saw Devchandraji coming towards them with shaved head. भद्र वेश देख के करने लगे सोरा, ये केशो काम कियो चाहिए श्रृंगार ऐसा ठोरा. His parents were agitated. They were upset. It was the day that Devchandraji would wear the best outfits because he was getting married that day. However, he was with his shaved head. He was with his shaved head. And he dressed as a renunciate, a saint, a sadhu. His father, once he saw Devchandraji in the distance, he initially didn't recognize him as Devchandra. But as he came closer, he saw his son. Khija darai kahe sukanma. You're my son. I didn't expect this from you. I want you to get married. I want you to have a family. I want you to live a happy married life. And this is what you're giving me? His father started criticizing him, cursing him. What have you done? His mother was upset with the scene that was created. His mother was not happy with what was unfolding there. She tries to convince Devchandra that, dear son, we have already promised them that you will be getting married. If you turn back from that promise that we made to that girl, the consequences can be unimaginable. I'll kill myself. This is not something you want, do you? Devchandraji finds himself in such a difficult spot. He doesn't want to engage to the world. He wants to detach himself from the world. He does not want to build any worldly relationships, and here it is that his parents want him married. ऐसे में विवाह हुआ खतपट नीता हुआ. Devchandraji gave up to the pressure. He gave in to the pressure of his parents. He got married to Lil Bai. He didn't want to get married, but he had no choice because his parents were emotional when he declined. I don't want to get married because I'm already married to the Lord. My soul is His. I am His. So how can I be with someone when I'm already with the Lord? Says Devchandraji. Yet, his arguments were not heard. His pleas were not heard. And he got married. However, the fact didn't change. The schedule of Devchandraji didn't change at all. Because when you truly want something, you find a way to get things done. There is a story of three religious people, Tukaram, Namdev, and Narsi Mehta. They were the contemporaries. Tukaram's wife was not nice. She was highly critical of her husband. She would always criticize him, scream at him. And Tukaram would go to his mandir room. He goes to the temple of the Lord and thank Lord for giving him such a wife. He would say, thank God, you gave me such a wife that I don't feel like staying at home a single minute. I want to come to you and find solace, find peace here in this temple. Thank you, God. Namdev had a beautiful wife, a kind-hearted one, a pure lady. He goes to the temple and thanks God. Thank God you gave me such a pure wife, such a lovely wife, such a caring wife, because of which, whenever I feel like coming to you, I can come to you. I can offer my prayers to you. I can submit myself to you. If she was not nice, I would have some mental pressures and mental lapses and things of that nature that I could not fully concentrate in the remembrance of you. Thank you, God. On the other hand, Narsi Mehta, his wife died in the few years of their marriage. He goes to God, thanks God, saying, Balu Thayu Bhagyo Janjal Sukhi Vajasu Sri Gopal. Thank you, Lord Krishna. You've took away everything from me. Now I don't have anyone to worry about. I can fully submit to you. I can fully be yours. I don't have any deviations. Dear Sundarsaji, when you truly want something, when you want something done, and that is the only thing that matters, then nothing comes in your way. It does not matter when you truly want something. We have stories of successful people who had nothing, who came from the humble beginning and made it to the top. I was watching an interview of Elon Musk the other day, one of the richest and one of the most genius human beings that we have today. He said in the interview that in 2008, he had only about $30 million with him. And he had 2 companies. And he was in a difficult spot where to invest that money because both of his companies were not doing well. He said in the interview, if I invest that all $30 million in one company, the other company would not survive, would have to go into bankruptcy. That Elon Musk is worth more than $100 billion today because he was so relentless. And though challenges didn't come his way, he found a way to overcome all those obstacles because he wanted to do better. He wanted to be more successful. He wanted to offer the world something that the world had never received. As you know, the car Tesla now is one of the most sought after cars around the world. The electric vehicle. Dear Sundarsaji, Devchandraji, although got married to Lilbai, a pious lady, a devoted one, Devchandraji was not affected by this new relationship. He would continue to go to Haridas. He only spends about 3 hours at home. In between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m. in the morning. He goes home, takes quick nap, and comes to Haridasi's home for his service and to listen to his discourse because Haridasi is a Bhagavata scholar. Many other people come to his home to listen to the Bhagavata discourse. But Devchandraji is the one who spends the most time in his place. Haridasji Mandira Pradakshina Deve Mehnata Tijora. He comes early in the morning and make rounds around Haridasi's home because that is the place where his spiritual master resides. Guru ke ghar Gurudwara, it is stated that the house that Guruji lives in is the abode of the Lord himself. So he circumambulates the house of Haridas every morning. One day it so happens that Haridasi awakes in the middle of the night and he sees someone walking around his house. And Haridasi calls out, "Hey, who is there? Who is there walking around my home?" And Devchandraji from underneath says, "Guruji, it's me, Devchandra." Haridasi asks, "But why did you come so early? It's not even 3 a.m. in the morning." Devchandraji says, "Oh, Guruji, I thought it was already morning. And when I woke up and when I was coming, I didn't realize it was that early. So I'm just walking around your house. Devchandraji, Seva kare na jana vahi apne atma ki karan. When we serve, when we help someone without any expectations, when we serve our Lord without expectations, then the fruit of our service multiplies. When we expect something in return, the relationship becomes transactional. Devchandraji, whatever he does, he doesn't do it to show. He does not do it to flatter Haridasi. He does it for the sake of service. He lies to Haridasi saying that, oh, I thought it was already 5 in the morning, but it turned out that's not the case. But what Devchandraji does, he comes every day around same time, early in the morning, very early in the morning, and makes round up Haridasi's house. But he does not say the same to Haridasi, because he does not have to say that. He is not there to please Haridasi with his service. Haridasi opens the door and takes Devchandraji to his room. He is truly happy with Devchandraji. He is the most attentive of his listeners. Whenever Haridasi starts his discourse, he looks at Devchandraji and he looks at his attentive posture. He is truly happy with Devchandraji. Devchandraji continues to recite the mantra that Haridasi gave. Vajamana Sri Vrindavana Kunja Bihari Nitya Vilas. Haridasi and Devchandraji sit together and discuss the teachings of Bhagavata and of the scriptures. Devchandraji listens to the discourse very attentively. As such, Haridasi is careful too, because he doesn't want to say something that Devchandraji would raise questions for. So attentive, so disciplined is Devchandraji. Dear Sundarsans, days passed, months passed, that Devchandraji was with Haridas. The next time also, when Haridasi woke up in the middle of the night, he saw someone walking around his house. Devchandra, is that you? Says Haridasi from the rooftop, from his porch. And Devchandraji says, yes, Guruji, it's me. Haridasi calls him in to his room and says, I thought it was one time that you came and were walking around my house. And I thought it was by mistake. You woke up early. But I know now that you do it every day. You do the parikrama of my house every day. You circumambulate my house every day. You make rounds around my house every day. Devchandraji, your service is too much for me to handle. I'm not worthy of your service like this. So what I'll do is I will give you the idol of Sri Krishna, Bal Mukundasi, the child form of Krishna that you might have seen in the pictures. The form of Sri Krishna of Braj. I'll give you the idol of Bal Mukundasi. So what you do now is take him home, put him in a pure place, a clean place, arrange a place for the Lord, and serve him in the morning. And you come to my home during the day when I when I do the discourse on Bhagavata, so that I won't have to receive your service that I cannot handle. So you do that. I'll give you the idol tomorrow. The events unfolding that and the lessons that we will learn from what happens next would be the topic of discussion tomorrow. The disappearance of Bal Mukundaji. The Sakshat Darshana, the glimpse of Bal Mukundaji that Haridasji receives and what happens next. The idea of Ananya Bhakti, believing and worshipping one God, one deity, the value of it, the significance of it, regardless of who it is. The scriptures say, Nanyam puja ita devam nanamecce smarinyacha nacha pasyanna gayacya nata nindeta kadachana. Worship only one God, pray only one God, receive the prasada from only one God, sing the glory of only one God. Say the Vedic scriptures, the reasoning behind it, and the lesson we learn from the disappearance of Bal Mukundaji will be discussed tomorrow. Thank you all so much, Sundarsaji, for participating, being there for one another, and taking a lead in spreading the teachings of Mahamati Prananaji. Because when we all come together and learn about Prananaji, that is how we spread the transcendent understanding embedded in Dharma to the world. Because that is to happen, that has to happen. As Mahamati says, Piche Sukha Hoshi Savanna Pasarasi Chode Pavanna, the happiness, the bliss resulting from the understanding of the Lord will spread across the world, across 14 planes of the universe. That is to happen. And you are all being the part of it. Thank you all so much. With this, I will wrap up today's Beetak discourse.